Dear American friends, I'm very glad that I can address you the greeting speech. And I think that now the world is passing through a very critical moment that concerns not only us, Russians or Europeans, that concerns as well, I think, every living man or woman, and that concerns also American people. The actual modern world is losing its identity. The culture, the civilization is in great danger. And I think maybe it is greatest danger in all our human history. Because the development of the actual technological, modern, materialistic, atheistic, secular civilization has led the humanity to the moment, to the point where under question is put the human being as such. So now we are losing our human identity, coming to the last point of post-human transformation. And I consider that the reason for this degradation, the reason of this fall, of this decay, of this collapse, is individualistic, modern, liberal ideology. That is very important to understand what liberalism really means. The essence, the very essence of liberal ideology affirms that human individuality is the measure of the things. Not human being, not the man, but individual. And that is the concept that try to liberate this individual from any existing links with community, with collective identity. The essence of the liberal ideology is invitation of liberation, to liberate the individual from any kind of collective identity. That began from the liberation of from the church, from the religious links and ties. And the religion was proclaimed to be individual choice. If religion depends from the purely individual decision, we refuse to recognize the collective identity. So the church becomes something optional, something relative. And that was the first blow that has received European Christian society from the beginning of the modern era and the beginning of the liberal ideology. And after that, that was the nation or ethnic community that was as well dismembered by liberalism, because any existing collectivity was conceived to be the sum of the parts, and a constitutive role is playing here by the atomic individual part. And if the part is the whole thing, so you can create, starting from these parts, any kind of society. Society and collective identity becomes as well optional and a result of purely individual decision. So that was the next step. In this conception, church or nation or ethnic group or community is considered to be something conventional. We can organize, starting from the individual, one kind of church or religion, one kind of nation, but we could easily dismember them and create something other instead of the first form. So everything becomes optional and becomes the result of purely individual decision. And that is the next point in this liberal agenda was gender politics, because liberals, after the moment of the victory, of their victory over church, over nation, and proclaiming human rights and world civil society instead of national society, they have discovered, the liberals have discovered that the sexual identity is as well something collective. And if you are man or if you are woman, that is a kind of shared identity. But individualism is against this shared identity, because every individual could freely choose any kind of this collective identity. And that was the time of the gender politics. After destruction of the church or religious identity, national identity, after proclaiming civil society and one world human rights agenda, that was the time and the turn of the gender politics. And now to be man or to be woman is as well optional choice or optional, maybe circumstantial solution or condition, precisely as is the case with religious identity or national identity. So you could choose to be Christian, you could choose to be American, you could choose to be woman or the man. All that is completely logic from liberal standpoint of view. And we are now here, gender politics as the main strategy of liberalism that is winning on the world scale. Maybe we could discuss which country gains more in this progress of the liberal agenda, but that is sure that that is something that is more important for the global liberal elite than national interest of USA or Russia or Europe. It is kind of globalist elite that imposes this liberal agenda on everybody, destroying any form of collective identity. And in this individualist strategy, American society, in its collective dimension and communitarian dimension, as the community of Anglo-Saxon or European groups, settlers that have created United States, now is endangered, as well as other ethnic or cultural or historic collectivities. So American people is endangered in the same way and in the same measure, and maybe more than the rest of the humanity. So America is winning maybe on the strategical, geopolitical, international scale, but inside of American people, that's a growing abyss. And that is a kind of degradation, the great inner catastrophe of Americans' identity that is coming nearer to everybody of you and everybody of us, because it is universal phenomenon. The victory of the liberals on the world scale is universal phenomenon. You are in the center of this situation. We are on the periphery. So we could consider present struggle as the kind of tension or maybe Cold War between the West and Russia, or the West and the rest. But in the truth, that is something other. That is inner global struggle between liberal agenda that destroy nations, churches, religious identity, Christian, white people, not white people, Islamic or Orthodox, and the forces or the groups of the people who don't agree with this global course of the liberal elites. So we are on the same side. It is not the problem American identity against Russian identity, Western societies against Eurasian societies. The problem is quite different. The problem is that we are approaching the moment of the great collapse of the man, because the essence of the man was based on the collective identity. We are men because we are all men, not individually. We are men as something whole, as something, as some whole thing. And that is very important, that with these gender politics that is prevailing in the West, and we Russians, we are trying to oppose to these gender politics, as well as we are trying to oppose to the liberal agenda as such. That is not the last, but step in the global liberal strategy. The last step will be the end of the human identity, because the individual will be opposed to human individual, because to be man, to be human is as well collective identity, and it should be made optional choice, as today to be man or woman, to be woman is optional choice. Tomorrow the problem or the situation will be following. You will have the right to choose your species, to choose your belongingness to some to be human or not to be human. So your individual right in the post-humanist, humanitarian society will be the free choice to choose or to find or to imagine your collective identity, including to be man or not to be man or not to be human. That is the last step, and that is the most dangerous challenge that we will have in the near future. It is trans-humanist, post-humanist future. And the liberal agenda will put us inevitably in this situation. Today we are struggling to conserve our sexual identity, to rest man or woman, and that is not that is solved already in the West, because as Hillary Clinton has said, that gender politics is the most important ideological thesis, the most important ideological point in global expansion of American way of life. So now for the American elite, political elite, to promote gender agenda is most important ideological